In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still out. You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Kraus. How you doing, Cash?
I'm doing pretty good. We are going to be so screwed when Pope Francis dies.
Yeah, we're going to have to...
There is no way we're going to get another quote from another pope. It's unlikely.
It's not going to happen.
It's unlikely.
And to have such
it's very rare to get one.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Very rare.
Very
He's
rare.
a special pope to allow that.
He's
a special guy.
And to say such resounding things about our podcast.
Yeah.
Life-affirming.
Life-affirming.
I mean, you figure, the religion.
I don't even think he's allowed to
but
say something like that.
I don't think so either.
I think religion.
it's a problem.
I think it's a big problem. But yeah, that just popped in my head. We're gonna be screwed.
Right.
He's getting up there in age too.
Yeah, he is.
He's
gotta be
getting
like
up there.
100.
There's a lot of pressure on that guy.
Too much.
He's the voice of God.
He is.
I don't want
So
the job.
they say.
I don't want the job.
So they say.
Well, let's get into it. Today's our... It's not Foreign Film Friday.
It's
I
not.
almost say
You
it
almost did.
every time. Today is our India cinema review.
Indian Cinema Wednesday?
Wednesday?
I don't know. It's Thursday.
Again, no one gave us a possible name title.
Not a single person. Not a single person gave us a
So we are
title
going
for
to
this.
stick with India Cinema Wednesday, which
Sure.
sounds horrible.
It's awful. It's the worst
So
title of all
generic,
time.
so lame. So
It's-
please,
yeah.
give us something.
Please. I mean, we're literally begging you guys at this point. Give
But
us
this
something
week,
to work with.
the winner on the Indian Cinema poll was Kaithi.
Yes, it was.
2019 Tamil action thriller.
Yeah.
A lot of people came in and voted for this one.
They did.
Won pretty heavy-handedly over Newton, which was second with like 25%.
Which I think might have been one of the biggest surprises.
Well, it
in the
wasn't to
poll.
that one guy.
No, it wasn't.
He's like,
No,
I
guessed it right
thought Newton
again.
might win, but it will definitely be Kaithi this week. He kind of M. Night Shyamalan'd us with with the comment that. But yeah, that was a big surprise. Kaithi won just outright.
Yeah, it did.
With so we have to replace it.
Yes, we do.
That's what we do. So we have Ship of Theseus, Village Rockstar,
Yep.
Newton, and we're adding. Do you remember it?
Visari.
Is it Visari or is it Viscerani?
Viscerani.
I don't think it's Visari. I think it's Viscerani.
Well, you know what? I was close.
The 2015 Tamil crime thriller.
Yeah.
This one's an action thriller. Now we're replacing it with a slightly different crime thriller. And if you remember, we did a reaction to Viscerana.
Not too long ago. I think about a week or two.
It was the one with the cops. It was 2 minutes of just the cops torture.
Feet beating.
A lot of feet beating
Tying
involved.
people upside down
Yeah.
and just whipping them.
Well, that's how you catch criminals.
I guess.
That's
it's not how
catch
you
them.
get a true confession.
You don't need evidence when you could beat a confession out of anyone. Why do the work? Why do the long, grueling detective work when you just beat a man?
Beat them up until they confess to something they clearly didn't do.
It's like one afternoon. One afternoon you're taking to torture a guy, rather than months and months of detective work. Have you seen how long it takes to convict a
It's way
criminal?
too much work. If you're lazy and you just want to get the job done in one night, one afternoon, just
So that's
beat
the
people
poll.
up.
Viscerani, Newton, Ship of Theseus, Village Rockstar. So go vote, make your voice heard.
Well, I can vote on these two that I know for a matter of fact will not win this week, and that's Village Rockstar and Ship of
I
Theseus.
don't even know why we put them in there.
I don't know why either. At this point, we should probably just replace them or just watch them and review them as like a special episode.
Nope, they have to be voted on. It's just right.
Right.
That's the only way we can do it.
Something else we should bring up, though, for this poll this week, we
Big
have
news.
a big surprise, a big announcement. Cash and I have been checking nonstop.
You guys don't know what we had to do.
Oh my gosh,
To,
all these loops and bounds to go through. But there's been a film that everyone has commented on, and I must have replied to 20 people being like, guys, we want to see this film so bad. This is the most anticipated film for us of all time, but we can't get it here in the United States because it was always on moviesaints.com.
Yes.
Well, the film is called Miss, and
they finally released it with
did.
English subtitles.
Yeah.
So we are going to rent that. We have to rent it.
Right.
But we're going to rent it and watch it and release that next week. So the poll for this week, that will be a week from now a week out.
And we decided not even to put Miss in the poll. It was a film we absolutely had to see.
Yeah,
So.
go back and watch our reaction. We were very excited about it.
And I think speechless.
And we're putting,
which is like
I already
the number one
can
thing
tell
we
we're
don't
putting
wanna do.
way too much pressure on this film.
Of course we
And
are.
it's not going to live up to.
It'll live up to it.
I hope so.
I don't know, man. That trailer was phenomenal.
I know,
It
and
intrigued me.
And everyone, again, the comments every time, watch a miss. People just thought we were
know.
just
dogging on
we
it.
just
Like
gave
we
it
didn't want to watch
the
it.
best reaction. They're like, oh, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Figured it out.
We don't need to see that amazing
saw enough
looking
about it.
film.
But yeah, so that's really exciting. So next week
I'm-
we'll be watching on Miss, and then the poll winner again will be the week after that.
Yep.
And that will give everyone more time to vote too.
It will.
More time to get out there, hit the streets, do a grassroots village rockstar campaign.
Oh, I like that.
Try to get
Get
people
on the streets.
get people in the polls.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be Newman this week.
Yeah, so do I.
Or next week, I guess technically. But I think Newman's gonna win this one. And but let us know what you think is gonna win. I know one guy will, and he'll be fucking
Probably be spot on. Yeah.
I got a feeling if he
Per
just
usual.
came out and said Village Rockstar, he's got so much weight behind his prediction. At
At
this
this
point,
point,
it will come
does.
true. It will come true. All right, let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah.
Our discussion of this week's Indian cinema.
Wow.
Kaithi.
What a movie. What an action movie. What are your thoughts, Cash?
Well, I have mixed feelings on this one.
As do I.
So the core plot of the movie was reportedly inspired by the 1976 Assault on Precinct 13, directed by my favorite director of all time, John Carpenter. But it's like a combination of Assault on Precinct 13 and like Con Air, with like how his want to get back to his daughter. Like none of that's in Precinct 13. But I thought once it starts going, it takes off, but it takes forever to start going. I'm talking about one of the slowest first acts I've seen in a long time. It takes like an hour. Like they're setting things up for an hour long, and I'm ready. I mean, by half an hour in, I'm like, all right, let's start popping things off. You know, let's get the assault going. Doesn't happen till about an hour in.
Yeah.
And we get another long title card at this one, too.
We do.
About 20 minutes in. I don't know what's going on with that.
It might be the style. It might be the thing. I mean, when you have a 2.5 hour film, like they're like, to hell with it. We'll throw it in 20 minutes.
But that was my biggest complaint is it took a long time to get going.
It did.
Forever.
But man, once it got going, holy shitballs, did Dilly just go after it. This guy is like superhuman to a certain extent. I mean, goodness gracious, the guy got stabbed like 8 times, and it just keeps getting back up. Just keeps thinking about his daughter.
8 times, and then at the end they're just like, "Okay, you're good."
And he just walks off down the road. He's like, "I'm good."
Oh, by the way, take your daughter too. No paperwork or anything.
Just
You
blood
gotta
all
do.
over his daughter because he's still bleeding.
And he did stabbed 8 times, hit over the head with a pipe, maybe
Hard.
5 times.
Hard
Enough to knock him out.
How's this man not concussed?
Well, he's got brain swelling, obviously.
He does. Yeah.
Obvious brain swelling.
What they didn't
but
show
they're just
you-
here, take your daughter, and he rocks straight into a road.
And what they didn't show you about that final scene was he fell over and passed out right after that and died of brain contusion.
And his daughter just standing there.
Like, Daddy,
Yeah,
you told me you'd never leave me.
That's another thing is the actions were great, but some of the writing I thought was it wasn't great. The whole reason he was there was they just happened to pick him up on the side of the road for being suspicious. He had nothing to do until the very last post-credit scene where it's hinted at that maybe he did have something to do with the gang, but that's the last 30 seconds.
Oh,
and
no, he definitely had something to do with it.
Well, they purely, in this story, he has nothing to do with it. They purely added that in to make sure that they could have a sequel if they needed to. Because there's no reason to believe that he has any connection at all to this gang.
That guy at the end seemed like when they kept bringing up his name, Dilly.
Well, he did. I mean, he did at the very end. He goes, Dilly. He goes, well, that's the post-credit scene. That's the very end. So, I mean, it's the whole reason they pick him up is because he's on the side of the road and he's acting suspicious.
I kind of wish they would have went the prisoner route, like last day in prison, just getting out, getting on the transport bus or something like that, to where it would have made more sense for this guy. I did
Where was his last day?
Yeah, exactly.
But he just walked and they immediately picked him up. That's what I get. The writing is fucking weird.
It is a little weird.
It's weird.
I did like the whole emotional toll with his daughter, which gave the character meaning. But yeah, I thought that was strange too, that they just picked him up on the side of the road.
And then he's the only one that can drive the fucking bus or the truck. He's the only one. It just so happens to be how lucky that they picked up this random stranger. And this guy, what was the cop on the way to a retirement party?
Retirement party. Yes, for a high-up official.
I'm going to pick this guy up, leave him in my car while I go and get fucked up.
Well, they cuffed him too, remember? Yeah, just for like, what was it, wearing raggedy clothes or something like that?
Purely on suspicion.
Yeah.
He looks suspicious.
Yep.
And this guy ends up being the hero. And not only that, but there's like a 30-minute scene of him just trying to convince him to drive the truck. Yeah. It takes forever. And the guy just goes, no, I won't do it. Nope, not going to happen. Not going to drive the truck.
Well, he's like, the cop gets dirty.
We have 30 fucking cops that are dying. Do you not see the situation here? Like, they'll give you a fucking award.
Right.
You'll be a hero. They'll give you the key to the city. Nope, can't do it. I got to go see my daughter. Yeah. And he's like, literally, drop me off and then go see your daughter. He's telling him. He's like, can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Well, I won't.
He goes, I got somewhere to be.
Yeah, and eventually the cops just got to go, okay, look, I'm just going to fucking take your daughter away from you then. And he's like, oh, shit, well, I guess I better. The entire story relies on all these cops being poisoned and then it becomes like a road trip movie.
It does, in a lot of ways, but like
it's not nearly, the assault on the precinct is not nearly as big of a part of it as you would think.
No.
That's really what I thought
that was definitely the subplot of the whole film.
Yeah, but the entire thing is them in like a Keanu Reeves Speed-esque truck driving. They have to drive a truck. They can't call an ambulance. They can't call it because they don't want because there's so many corrupt cops.
Because they don't want to be embarrassed. Because the guy who's retiring wanted to go out on top and not have his name smeared.
The guy that's poisoned in the back of a truck right now,
of dying. Literally Mad Max without the apocalypse. When it came to like running away from the bad guys the whole time.
Yeah, kind of, but even them, I think, had more of a reason to be on the road. Where they were just
Mad Max?
Yeah, they were just trying to get freedom. 30 cops get poisoned. You can't call the army.
Right, you can't call someone.
And call the news. The news would be on this in a heartbeat.
And then the whole premise with the drug dealers and then wanting to kill the 5 officers, wanting the head because they seized 900 kilos of cocaine.
Yeah, and I didn't have a problem with that.
No, I didn't have a problem with that either. But you figured if you're going to kill 5, why not just kill them all? Right? I mean, if you're a gang...
Well, yeah, they just wanted the 5, but and then the poison, and then the weird vague poison where it just knocks everyone out for like 5. Like, why, if they're trying to kill them, why not just kill everyone?
Well, yeah, why not just poison everyone?
And just, and have it done. You're already killing 5 cops.
Weird.
You might as well go all the way, but it's just a reason to get them into the van, the truck, and it's hilarious. They just throw them like stacks of hay. They're just these bodies are piling up, and there's no rush or anything. No. These guys get poisoned, and again, it's 40 minutes until they get on the road.
Some of them are falling in the pool and shit. They're just dragging all these bodies, throwing them in trucks. It was wild.
But they can't. Again, it's wild thinking where they can't call anyone. They can't call anyone to help them. To the point where they can't even call a guy to come drive the truck. They got to convince this random stranger that they picked up, who was a criminal.
Yeah, he was.
You immediately find out, he immediately calls his parole officer, and you find out he had life in prison, but he got out after 10 years. Yep. Did I hear that right? What kind of life sentence is that?
Yeah, no kidding. But they're like, yeah, we'll let you out in 10. And also,
4 years previous, or you got 4 years off because he was a good behavior.
Right.
But he got life in prison. But I guess life carries 10-year sentence. Bro, I can handle a 10-year sentence for doing some high fucking crime. He murdered people.
Yeah.
But you got 10 years.
Well, it was a weird thing, for sure.
And but yeah, that whole scene I thought took way too long to get him just into the truck. Why couldn't it immediately have been a thing like you get in the truck and we'll wipe your slate clean? Like no one will know or anything that you ever went to jail.
Yeah.
I mean, they're cops. Don't they have that kind of power?
You would think.
But it's a long, drawn-out process to get him in that. Mm-hmm. But once they do, it finally takes off.
It definitely picks up. That's for sure. And I got to be honest, like for a film like this, something like so high intense action, I didn't mind the fight choreography. I thought at times it did get a little sloppy where you could see that it was clearly like a fake punch. You know, like sometimes they do that.
I don't mind that. I kind of almost expected. I mean,
but
it's Bollywood-esque. And that's not a problem I had at all with the film. It's the story that mostly I had a problem with. I like the fucking action scenes. I mean, some of again, the writing, some of it didn't make sense, but like the first sequence when they're on the train and the guys finally catch up to him because they have to take like one of the catering guys because the guy that drove the truck got drunk. Remember, he went to the party and he started drinking with everyone else. The catering guy.
Yeah. They were all drunk.
How unprofessional is that? The guy who's bringing the food is also getting drunk with you guys?
Well, I mean, you know, if all the food's out and you've done your job, why not drink?
Yeah, but you got to drive a truck home.
He don't give a shit.
Yeah.
This guy don't care.
It didn't make any sense.
No.
And then because the other catering guys didn't drink. The guy who they brought on who knew the roads. Mm-hmm. And even that was like they had to bring this guy because he knew the roads. But at one point it shows the cop and he's GPSing the route.
Yep.
So why'd they need that guy?
I don't know.
Besides to get him into the truck.
Yeah, there was a lot of double crossing too in this. There were like cops that worked for the gang, and then there were people undercover in the gang that worked for the police officers.
Yeah, go on.
I did like that one scene though. I cannot remember the character's name for the life of me, but the cop that was undercover. Oh yeah, Stephen Raj, I believe. Right, and then he stabs him at the end.
That's the guy's real name or his name in
No, in the film.
Yeah, it was the guy's brother.
Mm-hmm. No. I'm talking about the undercover cop.
That was the guy's brother. The guy with the broken arms, brother. Who was in the truck the entire time? No,
I'm not talking about him.
The undercover cop, the guy that was working with the gang?
No, the undercover cop that was working, yeah, he was like... He was like his secondhand man, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was that guy, the guy with the broken arms' brher. That's why he was so upset.
I thought you meant it was the gang member's brother. I'm like, what? No, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
No, okay. Yeah. No, it was the main guy, the guy with the broken arm. That's why he was so upset when he got stabbed at the end and he was crying and all that. Yeah, that was that guy's brother.
Right.
That's why when he looked at the picture, he's like, man, this would look like you if you didn't have the beard. Yeah, there was a lot of double crossing in that. And that guy was, I mean, might have been the worst undercover cop. He's talking to the cops in the gang, like in the warehouse where everyone's around watching.
Right.
It's risky.
It is. Very risky.
And even at one point, the guy walks right up to him. He's like, when he's talking to the cops, he's like, hey, we got a mole, you know, while he's on the phone with the cops. You think you take the call outside.
You would think.
But, yeah, no, he doesn't. And then he's got to act all surprised, like, oh, I'll call you later, dear. And he's acting like he's shocked by it. But, yeah, that guy. And I also thought was funny was the cop that was working with the bad guys who was in the back of the truck the entire time calling all the shots.
Mm-hmm. Telling them where they went every single time. And every single time you thought Coffee...
He's covered in bodies.
Thought Dilly and them were going to finally figure it out, and they never did. It was irritating at sometimes.
Yeah, this guy, he's literally orchestrating the entire thing from the back of the car on the phone while they're doing all this shit. It was hard to believe at times, but and not even that, but they moved that guy from one car to another, and they still didn't realize he was. Until at one point he does pop up and he goes, "Hey, I am fine," and then he stabs
Dilly 3 times in the back,
which
brutal.
Wasn't nearly enough.
No, obviously not. You got to hit this guy with a truck to kill him.
Well, even the bad guy at that point, he's like, you got to properly stab him, remember? And then that cop, he wants to drop the rock on him.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I gotta kill this guy. And the guy's like, no, don't do it. And then that guy is hilariously when they fall down the cliff.
He's throws it down the hill. Yeah.
He's like throwing rocks. Like, that's not helping.
It's not.
You're just gonna hit someone else.
Well, that was another thing I had a little bit of an issue with. Is this gang member was the leader wanted to kill all these guys, but for whatever reason he wasn't killing Dilly or the head detective. He was like letting them live. That made no sense to me. It's like, why not kill them too?
Well, that guy, you're talking about the guy with the deepest voice in the world.
Yes.
He honestly sounded, at first I thought there's no way they got to be dubbing his voice. I thought he was using one of those voice boxes.
Yeah, it was
He sounded like Bane. Mm-hmm. This is the deep, I mean, it is a fucking deep voice. We got to bring it up. We got to talk about it. But yeah, super deep. Yeah, that guy, that's the guy that climbs onto the roof at one point.
It is.
By himself, falls in and immediately gets jumped by this side plot of like college students that you could tell we were supposed to care about,
but we didn't.
Because we never spent enough time with them to know any of their kind of like
who they are, their personalities, or anything.
Characteristics.
Like, they were just so bland.
They were just bland. Immediately you knew they were just there to what I thought they were just going to get picked off kind of one by one, but only one of them dies.
Well, and then even when that one dies, it was so lackluster because I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, I don't care about this character.
Screaming at the top of the line. Yeah, the guy that I really ended up caring about was the guy who came into
Napoleon. Yeah. Yep. He was awesome. I love that guy.
At first,
I thought he was hilarious.
At first, I was confused. I thought he was the one that poisoned the alcohol. And I'm like, how did he get back to the police station so fast? But no, he was the guy in the back of the truck that was pretending to be knocked out the entire time. But yeah, Napoleon, I really enjoyed. I thought he was pretty funny.
He was funny.
But
those phone calls.
Bad
back and
first
forth.
Day.
Yeah, not the best. I wouldn't be a fan of that.
Bad first day. But again, it's just shoddy police work the entire time. When they call Napoleon and they tell him to negotiate with the bad guys, he's telling them to let him go, not knowing that they have the biggest drug lord in the area locked up.
Yeah.
In the truck. Yeah. I did like that twist though. Mm-hmm. I like that surprise when I thought it was really well done when he came up to when they were right about to unlock the cage or the cell, and he's like, yeah, there's a fifth guy back here though, and he's not, and he's like in the fucking shadows like Palpatine. All he had to do he just came up, he could have came up and gave him a fake name.
Well, that one guy definitely gave him a fake name. He was like, I'm Hitler, and he was just writing it down like nothing. I was like, oh my god.
But then he came out of the shadows and grabbed him. And they're like, no, that's not him. That's fucking his brother. But he could have easily played it off to where they just thought he was just a random guy.
We got to talk about this though. The Gatling gun that they find.
Well, when they first...
That shit was insane.
When they first mentioned the Gatling gun...
Yeah, it was a foreshadowing.
Well, yeah, I knew it was coming, but I pictured it was going to be like fucking Civil War. From most of the guns we've seen in India, they're always pretty fucking old.
Yeah, they are.
So I'm like, man, a Gatling gun? That's fucking weird. But then no, it's a mini gun.
It is.
I mean, it's a gallon style, but you would always call that a mini gun.
And there's so much kick to this fucking gun.
You can't even. And
there's no way you could hold it in real life like that.
Well, not after being stabbed 9 times and being
and hit over a head with a lead pipe 5.
That's a 300-pound gun, probably. I saw Gronk, Rob Gronkowski at tight end. They could let him shoot one after he retired.
Oh yeah.
And he could barely hold it by himself.
Oh, I bet.
And that guy is fucking huge. And he didn't get stabbed 38 times.
Right.
So yeah, but I didn't mind it at all.
I did like the scene.
I liked it a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
He was just lighting everyone up. It was. And okay.
Again, those parts I didn't. Him flipping people over, obviously physics and gravity, not really meaning anything. Yeah. Didn't mind it. It made sense for the story to me. I mean, that this guy is some kind of super villain or superhero.
Yeah. I thought some of the cinematography was actually really well done. I really enjoyed the slow-mo scenes when the glass would break in the truck and you would see particles of the glass. Like literally to such small detail that it was like hitting.
That was a really good scene. But a little dramatic. You would think they were flying off a cliff.
You would have thought that, yeah.
They're just getting hit with some branches. My God, dude.
But that first branch, that was a wake-up call.
That was a doozy.
That was for sure.
That was for sure, yeah. I like that. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of scenes. Well, the entire movie is shot really well.
Yeah, it is. And even the color scheme, too. The color grading and stuff.
I liked a lot when they light the wagon on fire and roll it down the cliff.
And then they get that aerial shot of it, too.
Even though, stupidly, they drive right through it after he beats everyone up. If you could have drove through it the whole time, why do you have to get out and but I do like that scene. Let's talk about that scene, actually.
Okay.
So they throw this, because they got to stop him. They're trying to kill these 5 cops no matter what. They put this big bounty on their head. So they're just trying to block the road. So they corner him by lighting a wagon on fire and rolling it down a hill to stop him. So that stops the truck. And then the 2 gangs meet, and it's funny because they're separate gangs, but they're both trying to get the heads. You know, they have a really funny dialogue in between when they're like, because one guy's already fucked up. He's like half burnt.
And the other
like
the other gang 5 of their guys were burnt in that bus that crashed.
Yeah, so it's a really funny. It goes on for maybe too long, but at one point they're like, "Well, let's fight for it." He's like, "Whoever wins gets to cut off their heads." And then at one point they're like, "Okay, well,
how about you get 3, we get 2 for your troubles?"
And then the guy kind of thinks about it. And then at one point someone calls.
Yeah.
Another gang member calls and they're on the phone trying to negotiate. And while they're in the truck, like, we're fucked. Like, we're gonna get out of here.
But then Dilly and the cop were arguing about whether or not he was going to drive through it. Remember? Yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll take care of your daughter. I'll put her in the best school." And he didn't really exactly believe the inspector. And then finally, he showed him a picture of his daughter and was like, "Your daughter will go to the same school as my daughter."
Is he thinking he's walking away at this point? I mean,
who, Dilly or the inspector? No.
So again,
remember,
the entire time
he knew he was going to die.
Yeah, but the entire time they have to constantly keep convincing him to keep going.
Yeah,
like Dilly, you're in it. You ran. I mean, the second you got in the truck and then took off, these guys are going to kill you. But constantly, even at that point when he stopped, he's thinking about getting out and leaving.
Yeah, just walking away.
I guess they didn't know he was such a fucking badass. Where he probably could have just headed. All right, boys, this is my stop. I'm
just run the other way. They went to chase him.
I gotta go, but yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. That the entire time they had to. Even to the point at the very end when he's dying, they have to convince him to get up.
Yeah, they do.
He broke your daughter's earrings,
and that just ignites a flame
now
under
he
his
smashed
ass.
it.
I know, and then he got.
Now it's like so like, oh my god,
like they're explaining everything. To him,
it's so much exposition. They have to explain even to the part where when he brings the minigun out.
Yeah,
he's like, and then Napoleon, he's got to explain. He's like, we can kill them. They're bad guys. And he's like, they're drug dealers. They'll sell drugs to students. Like, Napoleon, we're on board.
We just get it. They're bad guys, man. They literally just slit this college kid's throat.
They've been trying to break in for 2 hours now. They're driving cars into a police station. We do not need any more explanation to why these guys deserve to die.
You don't need to openly justify your actions.
They'll deliver drugs to students. And everyone, that was the kicker that the audience is going to be like,
right. Oh,
not the students.
Yeah, no.
Not the students.
Not our youth,
not the kids that are doing more drugs than anyone
else. Who will always find drugs no matter what.
Not the kids.
Yeah.
All right, Dilly, you have permission. Yeah, we didn't need it.
A strange choice.
The entire time they're kind of trying to build these guys to being really bad. All you got to tell us is that they're the biggest drug dealers, and that's it. I didn't need the first 40 minutes of explanation.
No, I didn't.
Of setting it all up. I liked them getting the drugs and doing all that, and then kind of the poison scene was cool. But you could have cut out probably the first 40 minutes of exposition, and then so much more explaining everything. Like we don't need to know. We don't need to say out loud everyone's motivations.
Right.
When we know he's the good guy. These are the bad guys. It's enough for us.
It is.
And a guy with a giant minigun, I don't need him to explain why he needs to fucking mow these guys down. And he does.
He definitely does.
But these guys would be getting cut in half from that minigun. That shoots such a high rate of fire. It would be literally sawing guys in half. It'd be a fucking bloodbath.
Yeah.
It would be a bloodbath, it's not. And even when the guy gets his throat cut, you would think that would be fucking
blood everywhere, but there was hardly any blood.
Unfortunately, which is rated R. But we do get the smoking and drinking warnings throughout the entire
fucking film. It was insane. I could not believe it. I was like, just leave it up the whole film.
Yeah.
Don't take it away.
Yeah, might as well.
Don't take it away because it's
going
to distract me.
Just having it flash every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, leave it up.
I know.
I'm at that point in my life right now where it's too hard. I'm but man, it's a lot, and especially in a film like that where they're doing coke and shit constantly.
Yeah, I know. And I want to bring this up too, because a lot of people said it was Amazon that throws up those warnings. Like maybe that's why in the U.S.
Yeah,
well,
good
we
point.
subscribed to Hotstar, and it was the exact same thing. The exact same warning, the exact same logo. So I think it's just anything.
It's studios. It's not Amazon putting out. You could tell that it's like on the reel.
Right.
I mean, it's like on the foot. It had to have been for sure the studio. Yeah.
I just see a lot of people in the comment section saying, "Oh, it must be Amazon."
You guys are getting a weird.
No, it's not.
And why would Amazon in America
show us anything, literally anything? And they're like, "Yeah, we should tell people not to smoke this film."
Or do Coke.
Coke's
bad, guys. Coke's bad. So we know by this point that Coke's bad. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a pretty good film. The action scenes were great. I just wish it got right into it. Again, there's a first 40 to an hour, nothing is happening. People get drugged, but that's it. There's no. I mean, one guy gets stabbed, and that's the guy that was driving the Coke truck.
Yes.
That didn't do the signal, or dude did the signal or whatever. That's it.
I think you could have had this film be this long if it was more drama orientated and less action. But with a film like this, when it's an action thriller, you kind of don't need a lot of the plot. You need enough. You need enough. But I feel like, as you said, there was 40 minutes of it probably that was just too much. And we didn't need everything explained to us. Because, again, you could have literally just had this film be about this prisoner guy who's just transporting these 30 cops because they just got poisoned from the gang. You know, you could have shortened that up to like the first 10 minutes of the film, and then boom, we're off to the races, right? And then it's a matter of throughout this journey of Dilly, we find out all these things about his daughter and whatnot. But it was like they had to set that all up before we even got into the action. And that's where, with a film like this, you should jump into the action, and then as the action's going, you know, we kind of learn more about the character.
Yeah, I thought they just overcomplicated it.
Yes.
It's reportedly based on Assault on Precinct 13. That entire plot is a drug kingpin gets killed. A guy hides in a precinct, and that's it. That's all. The gangs are just trying to kill that guy because he killed a guy, and they were just protecting him in this precinct. That's it. There's no more in that. But that's what I mean by it's such a simple story, but it still gives you the exact same outcome with this, where it's 2 hours long of action scenes of guys trying to get this guy out. You know, but I didn't need the hour-long explanation of guys getting drugged and then showing that this guy is a double agent, but this guy's also a double agent, but there's also some guy on the phone constantly calling, making plans. Yeah. There's just so many layers to it, and so many bad guys too. Yeah. I mean, there was a kingpin, the guy doing it, the guy in the back of the truck. Just a lot. A lot. But the action scenes
held up.
Were fucking great. This guy is a badass.
Yes, he is.
I mean, just some guy that was, luckily enough, they picked up John Wick on the side of the road for doing nothing but being suspicious. Yeah. Crazy. And they're just going to leave him in the truck all night while these guys get hammered drunk.
They were. They're assholes.
But, yeah, they are.
They ended up paying for it.
On suspicion, too. That's it. Yeah, overall, there were some scenes that I liked. I liked that all the cops just left the precinct. They just said, fuck it, while Napoleon was sleeping. They didn't even realize they were gone.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, but Kaithi, it was pretty decent. It just needed to be a little shorter. Yeah. It just needed to be shorter for sure.
I agree. Alrighty, well, that is our review for Kaithi. If you guys like what you're seeing here, please be sure to like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. If you're listening in audio format, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and Stitcher. Social media pages, Twitter, Seen It Podcast. Cash is on Twitter. That's just Cash. Instagram, Have You Seen It? Facebook, Have You Seen It Podcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Kraus. And until next time.
Bye.